let's now move on to my topic, which is the modern poetry. So, modern poetry often features a disrupted syntax, which refers to the irregular sentence structures. So, way back in our freshman days, we have already tackled about what is syntax. So, I have an example here from the poem of Mr. T.S. Eliot, which is titled The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. So there is the following lines there, which says, I grow old, I grow old. I shall wear the bottoms of my trousers rolled. Shall I part my hair behind? Do I dare to eat a peach? So in here, in this poem, the narrator presents his thoughts in a jumbled fashion, which we can see in this particular line, which says, I shall wear the bottoms of my trousers rolled, and shall I part my hair behind. So similar to the way in which his thoughts or the narrator's thoughts pump into his conscious or our conscious minds out of our subconscious mind. So these thoughts is about the momentous subjects such as aging that is combined with the fleeting thoughts about whether the narrator should roll his pants or should he eat a peach. So that's it. Next, we move on to the features of modern poetry. So the modernist poets such as T.S. Eliot, they tend to favor intellect over emotion, and they give more focus on the valued themes of alienation and isolation as reactions to the romanticism of the previous era of literature. Um, and One of the characteristics of modern poetry are themes of isolation and valuing intelligence over emotion, just like what I have said earlier. And next is contemporary poetry. In contemporary poetry, however, the common trends include there is the stream of consciousness, the free burst, and the preference of the suggestion or ambiguity of the ideas. Next is so to elaborate more of what is theme of isolation is. So isolation is one of the fundamental themes of literature, the KILN of experience, whereby a human is able to discover certain aspects of character, personality, and existence through journeying or exploring to the center of their being, of a being. And in Robert Frost's Themes of Isolation in English Literature essay, Frost has three obsessive themes, which are the isolation, extinction, and final limitations of man that are universal as they transcend every aspect of our society. So Frost, he uses his plain and unelaborated words and images to convey what his thoughts about these themes. So first is the mending wall. So mending wall refers to the questions of the necessity for human decision, for human isolation. So walls, it is whether physical or psychological. It represents isolation and imprisonment. So the literal wall that we can see in our houses, that was he was talking about. And in mending wall, we find the persona here more interrogating because the wall here refers to his neighbor as to whether a wall is necessary between them. If in the lines, there is this line in his poem titled "Mending Wall," says, "If I could put a notion in his head." Next is the free verse. So this is just an additional information for us to determine what differentiates contemporary poetry to the modern poetry. So contemporary poetry have the so-called free verses, which refers to the genre and the style of the poem. So free verse simply is a literary device that can be defined as poetry that is free from limitations of regular meter or rhythm and does not rhyme with fixed forms. This type of poem is based on normal pauses and natural rhythmical phrases, just like what modern poetry is. So, as compared to the artificial constraints of normal poetry. So, second, it is also called verse libre. So, it is a French term which means free verse. So libre. So we all know what libre means in Filipino word, right? So third and lastly, uh, one of the features of free verse is also poets have taken this technique as a freedom, just like what I've said earlier, from rhythm and rhyme. So because it changes the people's minds whimsically. So just search for the meaning of whimsically. Edward Estlin or E. E. Cummings. So E. E. Cummings is um, a modernist poet that is popular with his different style of writing. So he is one of the most innovative poets, as what I have said. He has a different style of writing a poem of his time. So Cummings experimented a poetic form of language, and he creates a distinct personal style compared to the other. He has a distinct style of writing a poem compared to other modernist poets or authors. So that would be all. Thank you for listening.